United States submarine base at Key West, Florida. A dispatch that quoted President Truman's press secretary, Charles Ross, as saying that President Truman has no knowledge of any secret project by this government that would give substance to the existence of such objects. Ross also said that both the Air Force and the Navy deny that such objects exist.
Perfect. I wanted to share this tweet that I read. I know we've talked about it, but it's important to me. It's, "Hey, what's up? My name's Noelle." And this tweet from Diet Meredith says, "My dad just texted, quote, 'Can you give me a call?' End quote. So he either wants to say hi or my whole family is dead. Could be both."
Dude, when I tell you, the other day, I went upstairs and Oliver said, "When you get downstairs, we need to talk." My Fitbit clocked a workout, which it does often. Like, I've sent you things before where I'm like, my heart rate. Mm-hmm. And I scuttle downstairs. I'm like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And he goes, "Our rug is going to deliver soon."
He did that on purpose, dog. There's no way.
I was like, you stupid son of a bitch. I think he did because, like, he knows that I get, like, worried about anything. I constantly have dreams where he's super mean to me. But our rug did deliver, and it's awesome.
I did see it. It's a nice little Star Wars rug. It looks like an Afghan rug, but it has little stormtrooper heads.
It's tricky because you have to look closely, but those who look closely will be rewarded with precious, precious Star Wars. But my dad, does your family do the same thing? My sister will be like, "Call me."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What the fuck is it?" Because the trauma of my family being like, "Call me," usually is when, like, a family member has died. So I call, and Becca will be like, "I want to go to the wood store. Do you want to craft today?" I'm like, "Why did you fucking text it?"
Dude.
Why did you just text?
Literally the ways in which, also, that's Chelsea.
Oh, yeah, I'm Chelsea. I'm nervous all the time.
Well, it's valid, though, because you get the one text that's "call me," and then you call, and it's the worst news. And then that validates forever.
Yeah.
Forever and ever and ever and ever. And so it's always my stupid fucking dad. And he's always like, call me in the middle of the day. And then I text and I go, "What's up? Just call me." And I'm like,
yeah.
What? Are our phones tapped? What the fuck?
Yeah.
The fuck are you on? Just tell me here, bitch.
It's like him wanting to know what the Netflix password is.
Oh, did I tell you the last time he did it to me? The last time he did it to me, it was like fucking 1 a.m. and he was like, "Call me." And I'm like, "A terrible accident has happened."
Yeah,
so
there's no reason.
I immediately call him. And he's drunk with his friend. He's like, "We saw Black Widow. Have you seen it yet?" And I was like, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you."
My dad will do the same thing. And I don't understand. It's like literally never anything important.
No.
It's like, "I don't know the Netflix password," or, "Do you think they have coats on sale at the store today?" I'm like, "What store?" Look it up. I'm like, you have the world, you have Google at your fingertips the same way I do.
Yeah. We have the same information. But it's always like, do they know? Like, what's the deal? Because every conversation where my dad has said, "Call me," and I thought that my entire family has died, could have been a conversation in text messages.
It's the same vibe of, like, this meeting could have been an email, or it's like this call could have been a text.
Yep. I'm like in the middle of a workday in a Zoom meeting, and I get a "call me," and now I'm having heart palpitations for 45 minutes.
Yep.
And for what? Because he can't figure out how to update his iPhone?
Yeah. Because he wants to know, like, if the iPad that he already purchased that doesn't have a return policy is good. Yeah.
I had to give my mom a step-by-step with screenshots that were marked and highlighted on how to turn Twitter notifications off.
I might need that, so just send me those screenshots.
Oh my god. She sent me a screenshot of her email, which both her and my dad share. Also, they're on that AOL game. I have told them, I was like, "Your information is not secure. You have an AOL fucking email account," and they, like, for sure, like, they use the AOL search browser. Like,
oh, that's bad. Like, okay. The search. I still have an AOL email from my youth.
But they're like,
primary.
They log into AOL.com. to check their email, and it has like a front page and you can search through it.
Yeah.
They use that all the time, and I'm like, this is why your credit card information has been stolen 4 times. 80.
Yeah.
But anyway. So they share this email. It's the email they have for everything and have had since the internet was literally invented. I'm not lying. And they get email notifications every time like one out of the five people my mom follows on her dog Twitter
Yeah.
tweet out something. And unfortunately, that most recently happened to be my ex. And so my parents open their email and it's a picture, it's like a sentence and a picture of my ex, and they go, "Why is this happening to us?"
They're like, should I call him right now? Should
And
I
I'm
do
like,
the most?
oh my God. And then so I look at the screenshot she sent me and I'm like, this is a Twitter notification. You are getting these every time these people tweet, every single time. And she's like, but how do I make it stop? I don't want to see him. And I'm like, this is like, she's making it sound like it's been a personal attack.
Yeah.
Like he
How do you
created
get my
an email.
information?
Yeah. And he was like, Dear Amy. So, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm going to make a nonsensical tweet that has nothing to do with you.
She felt like it was a personal attack. And I was like, oh my God. So I had to show her how to turn notifications off. Anyway, parents shouldn't have the internet, and I'll die on that hill.
I think so like my parents did not have cable or like high-speed internet growing up. We were very much like the only 13 channels family with dial-up well into my college years. Mm-hmm. My dad finally got high-speed internet and actually got cable, and I came home to him watching infomercials about knives. And I think the world is at your fingertips, and now he just watches YouTube tutorials on like how to clean a knife. Like, it's...
You know, parents and toddlers almost have the same type of internet experience.
But like, toddlers are better at the internet.
Yeah, but toddlers know how to work an iPad.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
But they're both just on YouTube watching the same 20-minute video over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I'll open up his computer when I'm at his house, like his laptop, and like all of his tabs will be open. And it'll be like specs of a 2001 Jeep Wrangler and like road trip maps. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, okay, like I don't understand. It's just like the preciousness of their innocence, but at the same time, like victims of Fox News.
1,000%.
I'm like, why can't you just Google new news resources while you're at it? Nope.
It's like, I almost feel that parents should have to go through, especially if they weren't raised with the internet, they had to become late adopters, if you will.
Yeah.
Because we had a family computer that was in my parents' room that was on dial-up until we moved out of California, which was when I graduated high school. So, peace and love. I know the struggle, babes. Mm-hmm. But I feel like they should have to take a test that like shows them internet safety, how to identify suspicious links and hacker links.
Yes.
How to check a source on a article that you're reading, how to read a URL to make sure you're not getting phished.
My sister listens to podcasts pretty regularly, so Becca, I'm sorry. I fear for her Facebook experience because she just recently got one, and I had to tell her to stop sharing memes of Minions. I was like, you gotta fucking stop it right now. She's like, they're funny. And it'll be like a minion that's like, you say bitch like it's a bad thing. And I'm like, dude, you gotta stop. And she ordered a targeted ad that was like, my name's Becca. I like to cuss and I like to ride in cars and drink beer. And I was born in May. And it's like one of those shirts that she fucking ordered it. And I'm pretty sure it came and it was just pure plastic. It smells weird. And I'm like, stop buying. I'm like, don't buy that.
Dude, the Facebook targeted ad shirts are fucking incredible.
And she bought one. So she's like, how did they know?
She's literally Facebook's demographic, dude. Like, it's minion memes and targeted ads, baby.
It's, I worry for her. Because she's also like told me like horrific news that she's seen on Facebook. She's like, oh, God. Did you hear about all the dogs that were skinned alive and eaten? I'm like, what the fuck? And I Google it and it's like hoax sweeping Facebook. And I'm like, like, don't read stuff on Facebook anymore.
Dude, well, The biggest bare knuckle brawl verbally, unfortunately, that my father and I ever got into when he shared like a some crazy fucking article. It was pre-COVID, but it was something wacky fucking wheels. And I just clicked the original page that it came from, and it was a Facebook page that was all about like it was essentially InfoWars. They had like the Sandy Hook is a lie in their banner. And I have never slam dunked so fucking hard on my dad. Because like it doesn't matter how right he thinks he is in whatever article he shared. The fact that it came from a page that actively called the parents of victims of a fucking mass shooting to be like, show me your kid, he's not dead. Like, you're always right. You're always right. And I was just like on fucking Mount Everest, like,
Yeah.
you're an idiot. Like,
So you gotta get we talked about this a little bit in Patreon, but you gotta get them sometimes.
you do have to get them sometimes, or else they don't learn.
Yeah, like it's the oven is hot, bitch. You keep touching it.
Yeah.
I feel you. And I know people
like
might think
when,
we're hypocritical because of my love of Alex Jones, but I'm not going to explain that here and now because you'll never understand.
Yeah. It's not worth
I'm
that,
also not demanding to see corpses of children, so.
When Facebook put that, like, where you could click an article that was like, fact check this, and then it would like put that gray sheet over it that's like, this has been proven fake.
Yeah.
I would just
get them all.
Sit on my dad's Facebook and be like, I mean, and fucking report them all.
My father not having a Facebook is how I know God is real because I never would be able to handle it. The fact that my sister got one like this year, I'm shocked.
Oh, it puts me through full blown meltdowns numerous times a day, and I'll just like. I love my dad to death. He's a great guy. But I'll see some things he posts and I share it to my mom and I go, if we all come together, we can put him in a home and there's nothing anyone can do about it.
Conservatorship. We learned how to do it to Brittany. We can do it to our father.
We can do it. Like, seriously.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. It's scary to have. But like with your dad, his age explains it. My sister's not that much older than me.
Yeah, but you guys grew up in, like, Dickskin, Utah.
Yeah, she was also, like, growing up on the internet is I grew up on the internet. I was lucky to be part of that where I got exposure. And I learned this shit early. But you know what? I gotta let her crawl before she can learn to walk. So the fact that she ordered a shirt and shared some Minion memes...
I mean, you're just a step ahead of her with your fucking Harry Potter bullshit.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Harry Potter's, like, really good, though. I watched a TikTok, speaking of which, and it was like, your Harry Potter house is how you handle, like, confrontation. So, like,
yeah, I bet that's the
TikTok
that you watch and
Hufflepuffs
like.
try to friend their way out of it. Gryffindors try to, like, fight their way out of it. Slytherins try to, like, destroy their way out of it. And Ravenclaws try to think their way out of it. And I was like, oh, shit!
I bet that resonated with you.
It did. I was like, such a fucking Gryffindor, dude. Noelle's such a fucking Slytherin.
Did you share it on Facebook, too?
I didn't. I don't even think I liked it on...
hashtag Gryffindor things.
Yeah. I don't even think I liked it on TikTok because ever since I found out that your TikTok likes are public...
They don't have to be. You can make them private.
No. I'm not afraid. But then I would also look through all the different things I like, and I'm like, the chaos and innocence, like, stupid innocence of this, of, like, watching a dog fart, and then they put music to it, like, and then there's also, I follow a very strange TikTok thread, or I guess conglomerate of videos, where people think that they're here from a different reality. So it's like, I'll see the no bones dog, and I'm like, and then it's another person who's like, this is my universe versus yours. And then they get in real close, and it always scares me real bad.
Oh my God.
And then I go back to, like, another dog, and I'm like,
I am actually going to spend some time tonight looking at your liked videos.
It's fine.
Can't wait to see what's rolling around. Yeah, let's get this fucking going.
Patreon. Oh my God. We're talking about demons today.
Yay!
We just had a good fucking complaint flow going on Patreon, and we had to continue it.
That's we were really just releasing the pus.
Yeah. It was like
The
that
pressure.
video. Yeah. It was the pus video.
It was the pus video.
I just needed someone with like fucking toenail clippers to pull the plug out so that I could die of MRSA.
The rusted toenail. Oh my god. That video, man. That video. You want to know something? So that video upset a lot of people, but you know what upset people even more? That video that we saw of that Russian guy getting flattened out like a fucking
Dude, I didn't like that one.
Laffy Taffy.
I didn't. When you sent me that video, you're like, you want to see some? You were like, you want to see something funny, and I said,
it was
yes. Funny. And then you sent me this guy getting just panini pressed, set to
with a lathe. That's what it's called. Yeah. He was panini pressed to a lathe. No. Well, to be fair, I added the Benny Hill music because when I first saw it had no music, and I was like, you know what this requires, the Benny Hill music, and I was like sobbing. Like I was sobbing. I've never seen a person be turned into a Laffy Taffy so quick. And the way that the person reacted to it very much needed that music. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Everyone was very upset with me. Everyone.
It was terrible. People wanted to see the rusty toenail clippers pull pus balls out of a guy's
died
back.
Too. Why?
He died a hero, Noelle, not a sandwich.
So did that other guy.
Not artisanal bread, all right?
That other guy died as a hero as well because it made me laugh.
As bread. He died as his favorite food.
He died like a saltwater taffy being stretched out.
Let's talk about the fucking episode 45 minutes later.
Anyway, demons.
Not real demons. It just so happens to be the Dover demon.
It's because we're talking about Boston, Massachusetts. Khakis.
Yeah,
khakis. I can't do an accent. I'm sorry.
So in the spring of 1977, in a small town just 20 miles outside of Boston, Massachusetts, a strange creature terrorized the backwoods of Dover and was sighted by multiple people in the area, only to disappear just as quickly as it came. So on April 21st, 1977, 17-year-old Bill Bartlett would be the first one to come in contact with the creature. It was around 10:30 p.m. at night when Bill was driving with two friends, Andy Brody and Mike Mazaka. He was in his Volkswagen on a small road called Farm Street. And Bill recounts something catching his eye on the loose stone walls framing the road. And initially thinking that it was a dog or a cat, he focused his eyes on the movement until it eventually was illuminated by the headlights of the car. And this all happened in the split second as they were driving and the car passed the creature. But Bill's world would be changed forever. Because in a scene straight out of a horror film, in the split second that he passed the creature and it was lit up by the headlights, it turned his head and made eye contact with the terrified teenager. And Bill described this thing as more human than animal, and it reminded him of the kids with distended stomachs that you see on television, mixed with Sarah McLachlan music, something like straight out of hell.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of like some sort of like creature drawn for a South Park episode.
It reminds me of fucking Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I could. Well, just because he's like hunched over by rocks and being weird.
It's very. The drawing is very simple.
It is. It's giving South Park. It's giving South Park to me.
It's giving a kid who like tried to draw the body of a frog and then put the head of an alien on it.
It is exactly that. Like when you see those kindergarten drawings go viral and then people make them what they would realistically be, and it's the most deformed, demonic looking giraffe. That's what this is for sure. Yeah.
And its eyes were huge, and it glowed in the headlights. It had no eyelids, and its eyeballs were like a very milky color that didn't reflect anything like human-esque. It had more of a watermelon-shaped head, so think hot dog way, not hamburger way, like Stewie Griffin. And its eyes were sitting like massive orange marbles, front and center, like where human eyes would be. And it had an extremely thin neck with spindly arms and legs, but very large hands and feet. And it was entirely hairless, and although being like mostly gray, it had a slight peach tint to its skin. And Bartlett thought that the skin looked really rough in texture. He kind of got like a sandpaper vibe from it, and it had to be smaller than 4 feet tall. And again, in that split second, the car had passed the creature, which had been scuttling across the wall until interrupted, it froze. And since Bartlett's companions were distracted with conversation, they had missed witnessing this nightmare entirely. And in concluding the night, Bartlett, who was super shaken and afraid, they were originally on the hunt to go find beer. He decided to just call it off, and he dropped his friends off at their houses, and he went home to Walpole Street. And his father took one look at him and knew something was wrong and that his son was in a heap of nerves. So Bill broke down and confessed what he had seen, and he sketched for his father the creature that he had seen on the walls.
That's why this sketch is hideous. Also, based off of this description, not the picture. Watch this. It's just like someone's rescue Sphinx hairless cat that's blind and has got like milky eyes and sandpapery gray skin with like a tinge of color in some areas. Yeah. That is like literally what this is. And it's got a spindly little neck. Like this is literally
but also like no ears.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's a rescue. Yeah. You know, it was living outside, got its ears bit up, probably has no tail either.
But it was like a little under 4 feet tall, so kind of huge for a cat.
I mean, to who? To Bill?
A hairless Maine Coon.
We don't know what his deal is.
Whenever I see a cat, it is also a nightmare for me, so I get it.
Oh yeah, cats can kill Chelsea. She just doesn't hate animals.
There are 3 cats that I will go on the record that I like. They are Ichabod's cats. They are my stepchildren.
Yeah, very stepchildren-like, as in you never want to see them or speak to them or be a part of their lives.
Yeah. Well, I do send them gifts on holidays from afar. I also refuse to go into their home because I can't be in their physical presence.
Yeah, sounds like a stepmom to me.
I do stay updated. Yeah. So roughly an hour and a half later, in this same area, a 15-year-old named John Baxter was just leaving his girlfriend's house to head home. And he walked for about 30 minutes before he saw someone approaching him. And since the figure was so short, John assumed it was one of his friends who had a similar stature, named M.G. Bouchard, and called out to him in the dark. And instead of I have such a wine burp that is brewing right now. I'm struggling.
Get it out.
I'm trying to swallow air and force it out. Just gonna have to suffer. So instead of hearing a response, the figure in the dark stopped immediately in its tracks with such a halt that like almost didn't seem human. And it made John's hair stand up completely on end. And so he was squinting in the dark, trying to make out who was on the road with him. But since the night was overcast and they were out in the middle of nowhere, there was really barely any light to see. So John called out again, "Who is that?" And it immediately caused this figure to go running up the opposite bank. So John, natural 15-year-old boy who lives in the sticks of Massachusetts, decided to chase it.
Yeah, I was hoping so. I was like, he better go after that motherfucker.
And it was so dark that like he couldn't see where he was going. He was just following the sound of crunching leaves. And he chased the creature until it outran him into a gully. And it was only then that, silhouetted against the night sky, that John could see the thing that he had been chasing for the first time. And with unblinking eyes, the creature stared John down until he began to feel physically sick. And wondering what the creature might do to him, just out there in the gully like that, John turned and ran towards the intersection of Farm Street, which, remember, is the street that Bill and his friends had been driving on, where a couple passing by in a car spotted the distressed teenager and gave him a ride home. And like Bill, John immediately drew what he saw. And the pictures look basically like the same person drew them.
Yeah, they're the same. I will say that John's is a little bit better. Yeah. You know, he definitely paid attention during his art class.
Some shading into it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's textures. It's very nice. Also, he did a really great job of arrows and descriptions of what he was seeing. I just very much appreciate that. He put the date and the time in which he saw it. I just think a lot of care and love went into this sketch. Yeah. Whereas Bill, maybe get it together. Maybe try a little harder.
John was probably still a Boy Scout, and Bill was he left that life behind.
Yeah, it shows. And now no one believes. I choose not to believe Bill and only John. That's solely based off of the effort of the drawings.
So the next night, 15-year-old Abby Bram was being driven home by 18-year-old Will Tainter.
Oh, that's a little sussy. That's a little sussy. I'm sorry, Will. Why are you hanging out with a 15-year-old? 15?
At night.
Oh my!
People may say it was the 70s, but it was still gross in the 70s, my dudes.
Oh my god! I hope the next sentence is, and then the police pulled the car over and immediately arrested Will.
No. What actually happened was very similar to Bill's account. Abby saw the creature only for a second as it was illuminated by the headlights of Will's truck, and she described it as something with a large head, no facial features except for the eyes, and it was also crouching on the side of the road.
Who's letting their 15-year-old go out with an 18-year-old man?
Who's letting their kids out that late at night? Like, when I was 15, I was not allowed to just hang out at someone's house unless it was, like, a really good friend. Even then, though, like, I wasn't allowed to just be hanging out at midnight, and I definitely wasn't allowed to walk home at midnight.
No, especially not, like, what?
Yeah.
But also, like, the 70s, high crime, high kidnapping and abduction and murder, serial killer row.
Yeah. What a wild time. I grew up in the era of, like, having to be on, like, home when the streetlights came on. So the fact that anyone's out past 7 p.m., I'm like, whoop.
Insanity. It's insanity. It's disgusting. Anyway, go on. I'm disgusted.
Yeah. So Lauren Coleman, who is a man, I felt like I needed to put that in there because it was a woman the whole time I was reading all of this, is a cryptozoologist based out of Portland, Maine, and initially led the investigation of the Dover demon. And as he initially conducted the investigations of the sightings, he was struck by the fact that they all happened on or near Farm Street. And as he dove into the history of the area, he came across some 1914 writings of Dover's earliest days about the road. So, quote, in early times, this road went around the picturesque Polka Rock, and amid the superstitions of the age, they thought that they saw a satanic majesty as he was riding on horseback by this secluded spot. The location has long been looked upon as one in which treasures are hid, but why anyone should go so far inland to hide treasures has never been told. However, there has been, at times, unmistakable evidence of considerable digging in the immediate vicinity of this rock. I got kind of thrown by the rock mention, by the way.
Yeah, the rock is so this makes a little bit more sense to me, because at first I was like, why are we calling this a demon? Like, where they get this looks like a weird fucking alien cryptid, but it's because someone felt like they saw some Satan shit.
Yeah, the road itself does have a satanic history in the sense that they thought that someone saw Satan riding on a horse. Also, all the fucking foo-foo bullshit.
Well,
and also we've done, like, episodes where we've talked about crossroads, like crossroad demons, things like that. Shout out to all my Supernatural fans. Even though it's not over, it lives on forever. Or even though it is over, it lives on forever in my heart. And then also, like, people digging for treasure in this area. Like, those are three very strange things. So Coleman was immediately drawn to the mention of this Polka Rock and how it was linked to Farm Street. So according to the Boston Archives, Coleman said in a subsequent interview that he was fascinated by the fact that the area in which the demon was sighted had a high tradition of unexplained activity. And in the same area, you had three major legends going on. So you have the apparition of the devil on horseback, the tales of buried treasure, and then the Dover demon. And
also, what a fucking mixed bag.
I know, it's kind of fun, right?
Bag.
We don't ever have anything fun in Utah.
No, there's that, like, one road where they're like, if you put your car in neutral, a ghost will push it, but it's actually just a fucking road going downhill. Yeah. Like, we're all not, come on.
There is Mutton Hollow and Kay's Cross, but, like, I think they, like, demolished the, like, satanic bullshit that was all there.
Didn't Ghost Adventures go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that I tried to go there as a teenager, and I could not make it past the fence because I was petrified.
Ugh, you're such a little bitch.
I know. Fucking life, man. So, Lauren Coleman said that I think it certainly says something about this rock, that it's almost as if there are certain areas that collect sightings almost in a magnetic way. And he theorized that the large geologic outcropping in the woods off Farm Street that the historian Smith called the Polka Stone might actually be a miswrite or a mistranslation of the Puka Stone, which is very prominent in fairy folk of Celtic folklore. So according to yourirish.com,
reliable
Yeah.
source.
I will say that, like, the puka stone, there are so many different sources on there that I just picked. I just picked one. This one I
Yeah.
did. You don't have to dive for it. If you want to look for it, the American spelling is Pooka. The Irish or Celtic spelling is Puca. It's also like in a ton of other It's like the flood to Christianity. Like the puka stone is in like a ton of different translations. So the meaning of puka is from the old Irish word, like, that still looks like puka to me, but with more hyphens in it, which means goblin. A puka is a shapeshifter that can take any form it chooses. An important thing to always remember about a puka is that they have the power of human speech, and when inclined, make great sport of those they talk to, as they like to embellish the truth.
I just imagine a bunch of like 14-year-olds in middle school wearing puka shell necklaces,
Same,
and
yeah.
they're just like shapeshifters who lie. And I'm like, this checks out.
That's why it looked so like peachy blonde, was because it had frosted tips.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in Ireland, the puka seems, much like the boys who wear puka shells in high school, the most feared fairy possible because it appears only at night and enjoys creating havoc and mischief.
This checks out. Listening to 98 Degrees.
Yeah. And it's not, I should have said, like, much like the fairy and then inserted it there. Not calling dudes who wear puka shells fairies, but saying that they caused havoc and mischief. Those boys.
You know, tomato.
Well, you know, what they would do is I had absolutely no interest in them, but then they would be like, can I have your number? And then they would they were like an anglerfish, man. Dangerous. Because you'd be like, yeah. And then they just would ask for your number, but then also never text.
I specifically remember boys with frosted tips and puka shell necklaces wearing like And One. You remember that brand, And One shirts with the sleeves cut off? And they all thought they could dance, but they couldn't. And I remember being perplexed by it.
The dancing that they would have was the kind where dudes would come up to the club and you would dance on them. That was like their dancing style, I felt.
It was a lot. It was, yeah.
I got unspoken beef with the puka shell
still
boys.
too.
Yeah.
When it says they're goblins, I agree.
Yeah. So, of course, this revelation of older history regarding the Dover demon made Coleman interview the locals in the area to see if there were more sightings than just the 3 we've covered. And he was not surprised at all that the more he dug into the area, the more he heard about strange sightings in the woods of Dover. Some recall seeing a demon, and some thought it was just a hairless animal. But regardless, all the descriptions came back matching drawings of Bill and John. And these went back a while. Some of them were in the early 70s, like 5 years before the Dover demon ever got popular. And there were even police reports, albeit they were never followed up upon because the cops, where people notified the police of the sightings, but they ended up just being dismissed completely.
Sounds like everything in the 70s.
Yeah. They're like, oh, maybe they just hitchhiked.
Yeah.
They went to California.
Yeah, they all went to California, you guys. No need to look into it.
It's fine. It's fine. And, of course, these sightings were met pretty severely with backlash once the Dover demon did get more popular. A lot of people figured that the teens from the 1977 sightings specifically were either drunk or mistaken, with most people believing that they saw a baby moose.
Oh, yeah. Totally the same thing.
This one, sometimes I can be like, I can see it. I cannot fucking see a baby moose.
There's no.
And Bill Bartlett has been the most vocal to speak out against these explanations, claiming that while he and his friends were in search of beer that night, that he saw the Dover demon stone sober and went home because he was so freaked out. And he also made the claim that there is no way in hell that he, as a local to the area and also like a teenager of the 70s and avid outdoorsman, that he would ever confuse a baby moose for something other than a baby moose. And I would double down here. Like, I wouldn't say I'm an avid outdoorsman, but I also would not confuse a baby moose with anything other than a baby fucking moose. Because it is distinctly a baby moose.
Yeah. And not a hairless Sphinx rescue cat missing its ears and completely blind.
Like, if someone put up Gollum from Lord of the Rings and a baby moose and were like, these are similar, I'd have them committed right away.
That's fair.
They don't look alike. And Coleman even agreed. He said that to have a bipedal moose with long fingers and orange skin and no hair and no nose would be more of a phenomenon than the Dover demon itself.
True. He's valid for that.
100%. And I do think it's like interesting too, almost that like the fact that sightings had been happening for so long in this area, like back into like even the early 1900s of people seeing like weird things on Farm Street, that any other future sightings on Farm Street would be so easily dismissed because it was almost like known in that area that that spot specifically was either thin veiled or a portal or what have you, but it's a spot where stuff happened.
What do you think? These donuts aren't going to eat themselves. You know, what the cops don't have time to investigate. So it's a baby moose, Chelsea. It's a baby moose.
It's gotta
Please let me go back to my desk and finish playing Sudoku.
Yeah. Finish being mad that my wife doesn't love me.
Yeah.
And finally, there is something that lends the most credibility to the Dover demon, in my opinion. So, 4 decades after the sightings in 1977, the retired assistant director of the Boston Museum of Science Planetarium was searching through archives for articles about the Dover demon, just for funsies. And he came across not only one of the initial reports of the demon sightings, but also the subsequent visits of the Men in Black to the area shortly after. And he found these reports of the Men in Black in 2 different newspapers. The Daily Transcript, which reported it on August 30th, 1977, and the Needham Chronicle, which reported on August 31st, 1977. And according to the reports, these Men in Black were looking for Coleman specifically.
Typical.
Always looking, never finding. So they first went to a local school to see if the teenagers who had witnessed the demon could point them in the right direction of tracking Coleman down, because he had come to the area and interviewed them all. Mm-hmm. And there was a woman there who gave the men Coleman's address, but they
snitch ass.
You know, you don't know nothing, you don't see nothing. Mm-hmm. And they never really tried to get in contact with him. They did take down the information. But the woman later recounted that the men were very sus. They dressed and behaved very strangely. Specifically, they wore all black leather motorcycle suits with white helmets and never took them off.
These were just like some leather daddies who were like, show me where Coleman is.
Yeah. And they also kept their arms like straight to their sides like Barbies and never like moved them like in a natural way. So if they needed to grab something, they would like lift their arm up like a plastic Barbie and like get it that way.
That's great.
They only spoke to her in monotone. And before they left, they told her that they worked for National Geographic and warned her to never speak about the Dover demon again.
That just speaks to like the overall IQ level in Massachusetts at that time. That these motherfuckers are all weird, dressing in all leather, moving like a broken Ken doll. And they're like, it's fine. We work for National Geographic. And she's like, yes, this checks out. Absolutely.
If it only fucking happened once, Bish. But later in Ohio, the same freaking thing happened. One of Coleman's associates was visited by 2 of these Men in Black, same fucking motorcycle outfits, same mannerisms, same warnings, down to the working at National Geographic, where they also said they wanted Coleman's information and to never speak about the Dover demon again.
Did no one look into the National Geographic? Did no one like call National Geographic? They're like, hey, do you guys have 2 guys who wear motorcycle suits and white helmets and like all leather?
The inconvenience of finding information in the 70s. I get why they wouldn't do it.
The inconvenience of doing anything in the 70s. Let's keep it real.
Like, how would National Geographic be listed in a phone book?
You fucking bet it is.
No,
Absolutely.
You'd have to get like a National Geographic magazine.
No.
You'd have to write them a letter. The secretary would read it, decide if she wanted to pass it on to her boss, and then it would get misplaced, and then they would send you a postcard saying, thank you for your interest.
Giving very much police departments in the same state but different counties who refuse to share the notes about a serial killer. That's what you're giving right now.
That's why they didn't follow up. That's why they were just like, yeah, okay, here's Coleman's address, social security number. This is where he lives. Bye. Like, they were not suspicious of these dudes at all. They were like, yeah, it's a little weird, but that's like, they left it at that.
I need you to stop excusing.
I'm just saying that's why they did it.
Work.
That's why they did it. I wouldn't have done it.
I would have, because I care about integrity.
No, I would have been like, do these guys, I would have been a dog with a bone if some guy in a full motorcycle outfit came to me with Barbie arms and told me not to talk about the Dover Demon anymore.
I would also not speak to that person, so...
And if somebody asked for your address, I would first of all say, I don't know your address, because I'm a normal fucking human who doesn't memorize where people live.
Yeah.
And,
also, like, don't give out people's personal information.
Yeah. No, the friends are also just as guilty as the men.
Yeah, these motherfuckers doxing him. They're doxing him 1970s version.
Yeah, and then these guys probably didn't even sign him up for National Geographic.
No, they probably signed him up for the military. They're like, LOL, we have his address.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. When was Vietnam? Everyone's going to be so mad. Was that the 60s?
Before? Yeah.
It's hard to, like, keep dates. Vietnam was 1955 to 1975.
Yeah, 1975. So it was over and had been over for like 2 years.
Which war was in the late 70s? We had to have been in a war. Violence in Middle East and Egypt and...
I mean, we were technically in the Cold War until 91.
Perfect. So they signed him up to just be scared of Russia. So Coleman wrote a book about these strange encounters, but he doesn't really know what to make of them because nothing came of them. Like, it was just two friends accounting for very weird experiences decades apart.
So the book is just a series of sentences with question marks?
Yeah. Well, the book is specifically about the Dover Demon. But he talks about the Men in Black coming to Dover a few weeks after the sightings occurred. So some people are just like, oh, these are just X-Files nerds with nothing to do, but X-Files weren't fucking around in the 70s. And I think we all know better. Like, I don't ever really discount the weirdness of the Men in Black because it's so well documented. Like, you can say, like, the Dover Demon is an alien or a cryptid. You can think they're one and the same. But we do know concluding there are two things about the Dover Demon that we know for sure. One, the witnesses were credible. And two, we don't necessarily know what the Dover Demon is. Nobody really agrees to what it could be because it just kind of disappeared. Like, it's very similar to the Flatwoods Monster. Some people say that they've seen it since then, but true substantial sightings have not occurred since 1977.
Yeah, I was going to say, the real question is, does the town of Dover have a statue or cryptid gift shop? Like, that's the real tried and true mark of a cryptid in your town. People are capitalizing on it.
Yeah, this guy does have a museum, a cryptid museum, but
is it just like out of his garage though?
I hope so. They have a gift shop, but it's like really I couldn't afford anything in there. But no, he has a museum. I think that if you do like Dover Demon, Massachusetts, let's look. I don't know if they embraced it as well as the Flatwoods Monster embraced it.
Well, yeah, that's because it's like one of the top 5 revenue generating things in, the Appalachia.
Yeah, they do have like a tiny little statue based off of Bill's drawing.
Oh, God. Bill's the worst drawing of them all?
Well, look at how cute it is,
Oh, my God. This is the worst statue I've ever seen.
Are you looking at the peach one?
Yes, I am. That looks like it's in front of a Chinese restaurant. Like, what the fuck? Oh.
It's kind of cute, really.
Oh, my God.
You know how you bought me the Fresno Nightcrawler, like, little plushie?
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting the same cutesy energy from this. Like, I would take this. I would let someone buy that for me. With those little jewel eyes.
It's disgusting.
It looks like the Sableye Pokemon without ears.
No, don't you dare bring him into this. But it's like, how can I explain this? It's giving roadside attraction on a deserted freeway as you're driving across the country vibes. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's very cute.
It is. I don't know if I'd say that.
I say cute.
It is just giving zero effort. I just, show up. You know what I mean? We need more cheeked up Mothman fucking statues for cryptids. Not this bubblegum shit.
There are kind of creepier like renditions out there where it's like in the black and white. The Dover Demon, I'm pretty sure everyone's seen the picture of it that's like pretty popular, just kind of floating around of scary things.
No one has seen it.
Well, let me send it to you first. This is very I've seen it everywhere on the internet, but I do agree.
You are on different parts of the internet.
I do agree with that. I would say everyone has seen that.
This picture is, it's like, oh my God, that one video that we were talking about from early YouTube with the guy in the wheelchair.
Rubber Johnny.
Rubber Johnny.
Yeah, it does have that. It's the glowing eyes and then that like greenish gray wash.
Yeah.
So I'm not as in love with it as I am like the Fresno Nightcrawlers, but and maybe it's just because like we don't really know what it is in less of a fun way of like, we know what the Fresno Nightcrawlers look like, but and also like the Flatwoods Monster, it just doesn't have like the same appeal to me here, and I don't know why. I did try to find different explanations for what people do think it is, and pararational.com said what they think is it's either a lost alien scout or an interdimensional traveler, but I would argue that those are the same thing. I also got very Hopkinsville, Kentucky goblin attack vibes from it. Those are actually what Sable-Eyes are based off of, are the Hopkinsville goblins. But this area is about 600 to 700 miles away from Kentucky, but it still sits in a region of the United States where we do get the best cryptid sightings. But
yeah.
Regardless, locals in the area still report seeing weird shit or like feeling weird or odd or sick on Farm Street to this day. I think it'd be cool to go more into like the Puka Stone in like a future.
Yeah, more like fairies episode. And shit.
Yeah, because that stuff scares me. Because it's very missing 411, I think, because it's another thing that I noticed in the research was that it was like, oh, the Dover Demon sightings were near water, which is part of the missing 411 rubric. It was near geographical anomalies, which would be like the Puka Stone, the high strangeness that comes in the area of weird sightings, the fact that it was like an overcast, foggy night when they saw it, and the fact that people were feeling physically ill. But they didn't have any of the other things. Like people didn't necessarily disappear who witnessed it, but we don't know what other people, like maybe people did disappear in the area and it just was dismissed by the shitty police department who lives there.
Yeah, because this was the 70s and no one did their job.
Yeah, so
I mean, I would be interested in the Puka Rock because there's like a whole entire era of cryptids that are like from Massachusetts or like the New England East Coast area. So it's all going to be connected. High strangeness is always connected.
And even just like it was seen scuttling on stone walls. So even like if you look up like the Puka walls now, you'll see a lot of it is just like stone walls, which is what it was seen scuttling upon. Like it could have just been like a very thinly veiled area. But I think it's fascinating. I think it comes, I think the reason why I had a hard time with the Dover Demon was I was immediately less interested in the Dover Demon and more interested in the Puka Stone. But at that point, we were 6 pages into research.
Yeah, I also will say that if they had maybe done a better job with their cryptid display, I would be more pro.
You didn't like
Dover
how it was
Demon.
marketed.
No, I did not.
Which is fair, because like the Fresno Nightcrawlers, I think, are just terrifying in the sense that they show up.
They are literally the opposite of terrifying, but go off.
Well, I love the mystery behind it with the Dover Demon. I don't know. I just don't get I'm missing the pizzazz, bitch.
It didn't do anything. It just made people spooked out, and no one gives a fuck about that. I want death and disappearances.
At least with exactly. At least with like the Mothman, the tragedy or like the Indrid Cold sightings that happened. With the Flatwoods Monster, there were like disturbances in the landscape. There was like residue left behind.
Yeah.
The people got physically sick when they saw it.
One motherfucker maybe got a boo-boo belly because he looked at the Dover demon. Who knows even?
Yeah. So I still think it's interesting. Like, I feel like it is a more popular cryptid. I see it all the time, but I do agree we are on different parts of the internet. I
Yeah, bitch.
would rather see a Dover demon than a Fresno Nightcrawler. I would be much more terrified of the Fresno
That's the difference
Nightcrawler.
between you and I, love.
You would rather see it. You would be less scared of the
The
Dover demon.
sweatpants? Are you
than
fucking
Haunted
kidding
Pants?
me? Yeah.
Haunted
Give
Pants
me
is
the
scary.
little demon all day. You're
The
insane.
demon is way less scary than the Haunted Pants.
The haunted pants are not scary at all. This is
Yeah.
your fucking dent in your brain talking right now.
No, this is like your boner for the devil, maybe. You just don't like pants, admit it.
Yeah, that's actually, you called me on it. That's what it was
I
the whole
actually don't
time.
like pants either, but I will say that like
Your sweatpants.
I find the visual of the Fresno Nightcrawlers much more disturbing than the Dover Demon, because the Dover Demon looks like Gollum, or it looks like a chupacabra, or it looks like a weird little scuttle alien.
And what does the Fresno Nightcrawler look like?
Dude,
A pair of
all I can
sweatpants.
compare him to are Haunted Pants, but I have no other rubric for comparison other than Haunted Pants.
It's okay. You have brain rot. It's fine.
Okay, well, if I can't explain it other than Haunted Pants, there's something wrong. The Dover Demon, I can explain it a million different ways.
It's like the logic I see you trying to make the connections. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I
But
just
that's okay.
cannot describe.
It's okay. You want to support the sweatpants, and I get it.
It's fine. I do. They're the best cryptid ever. You point
Okay.
a better cryptid. If we were doing a, what are those called when you start out, like a pool?
bracket.
A bracket. If we were doing a bracket, I do think that the Dover.
You want to
Demon
do a
would be out in
cryptid
the
bracket?
We should, because I think the Dover Demon would be out in the first round.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to see the Swift Runner Wendigo up against the Haunted Pants, though, for sure, because they
Those
both
haunted
got.
pants are getting fucking beat down,
Yeah,
dog.
no, I don't know. What's it gonna eat, man? It craves
you ki-
flesh,
The haunted pants have done nothing but just walk around.
dude. You want to know? They walk around with that big dick energy that I need out of a cryptid, where they just don't give a fuck. They will show up in front of God and the internet. I do wonder, though. I think Mother Teresa could take out the Wendigo.
Absolutely, because she's a demon.
Let's make a bracket. Let's make a cryptid bracket.
Okay.
I'm gonna look up bracket generators. Is that easy?
Oh, but don't do it now.
Well, I'll
give
do
this to
it
them
later.
We'll give this to them as a Patreon. We'll do our bracket. We'll do our bracket next week.
Okay. Oh, we can just set up like a single elimination.
Well, because we'll do it like I'll have my teams, you'll have your teams, and then we'll like fight them.
Let's just. You don't love these cryptids in the way that I do, so you're just going off of raw face appeal. We need a bracket that considers their soul.
You are on crack. No.
No.
You do bracket based off of like the actual damage that they've done in real life.
Dude,
and
what
so
about
your
the
pants,
Belness faces,
your
though?
fucking pants, bitch, they ain't doing
Like,
shit.
The
They ain't
Belness
doing
faces are
dick.
scary. We're not going over fight quality. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, we're not going over who's gonna scrap. We're going in like a bracket of like ominous presence. I want an ominous presence bracket. Like the Belmez faces aren't gonna do shit, but I dare say that their presence is way more intimidating than like fairy stones. You know, well, maybe not. Fairy stones are pretty fucking scary. But you know what I mean? Like the Belmez faces they can't box anybody.
I mean, technically they're concrete, so if you tried to box it, you'd lose.
Yeah, but like also jackhammer it, you know what I mean?
That's true. Sledgehammer it up.
So
See, this is the point of the bracket.
and that's all I'm saying though, is we're not going over fight, we're going over ominous presence. Is it strength? Who has the most ominous presence? Because the
Okay.
Flatwoods monster, it could probably scrap because it has like the armor coating, but I'm not as scared of it because it's just fancy alien dress monster.
It's just a drag alien.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Whereas imagine I'm just gonna keep making a case for the night crawlers. Imagine them scissor kicking through the air.
No, you kick him in the crotch. You kick him straight in the dick. Ain't no fucking way. There's nothing ominous about that. Well, we'll leave it for the bracket.
All right.
Okay, let's get the fuck out of here.
Do you want to plug our stuff?
Oh God, yeah, I forgot. I'm at Noelle Fain. That is at Sith Lord. We are at Go to Hell Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and if you're looking for the specifics, check out our bios for the link tree, which will take you directly to our Discord server, our private Facebook group. It'll link to our merch site. It'll link to Kelly Holloran or Wildwood Owl on Etsy, where she sells stickers, pins, and a few of our super fucking dope, super fucking cool bandanas. Shouts out. There's only a few left. If you are a fan of the cryptid stories or biblically accurate angels, check out the bandana. It's so fucking sick. And of course, you can listen to us on anywhere where podcasts are heard. And it is news now that you can rate us on Spotify. So go ahead and do that too. While you're there, just give us good reviews everywhere. And the one that's so near and dear to my heart is the link to our Patreon, which you can find in our link tree from our bios. And that is $1, gets you in the door. You get new episodes every week. Don't tell anyone about the shit we talk on there, because it is a lot of shit talking, period. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there it is. And speaking of demons, hail Satan.
I'm gonna say this so fast and then cut you off, so like my finger is hovering. The hell if there's no night crawlers.